The mayor of Camden, in the red, joined by our board president, Martha Wilson. Some of our district staff, the mayor's chief of staff, Ms. Nicole Henson, and we're also pleased to have a number of our community members. We have some families here, some really committed local Camden community leaders in the room. So grateful for a big shout out to Camden.
Thank you, Mr. Bahamathu.
So just to jump right in, I want to give you all a sense of accomplishments to date, some updates of work that is underway, and we want to close with a fairly significant initiative that is a huge topic of conversation in Camden, and that is the reconstruction of Camden High School. So the first thing I want to begin with is signs of progress. And look, there are a lot of numbers up here on this slide. I want to just simply say that, first of all, this is my 4th time presenting to the state board, and that is hard to believe for me personally. And I'm just grateful for all you all have done for the state and for Camden. I've spent a lot of time with many of you one-on-one. So Joe, Edie, and Mark, thank you for coming down to Camden so regularly. We're deeply grateful for your commitment to the state and to South Jersey and to Camden. And again, hard to believe I'm standing up here for the 4th time now. And so the headline to this slide is that we're seeing progress. We have a really, really long ways to go. So we have 4 categories in terms of our school information cards, which at the core of them is a very simple concept of half of the overall rating is driven by progress as it relates to test scores, and half of it has to do with a school culture, climate, and the environmental factors as we send seasoned educators to schools to take a look. And so when I was first appointed, roughly, I don't think the laser thing is working here, but the circle on the left, 44 and 25, so roughly 70% of students were in the bottom 2 buckets of our school information card. That's underperforming, needs improvement. And then making progress on track are the 2 higher. We set goals 5 years out as to where we want to be, and by 2019-20, we want to be at 85% of our students are in the top 2. And we created this tool because we felt that it was more localized. It was driven by feedback from our local community members and parents and students, and it captures some of the nuances that sometimes just proficiency doesn't tell, in terms of the full story of what's happening in school. So the good news is that when we got our 2015 results, we well exceeded our targets. So we wanted to move more students into higher performing schools, and that 44% underperforming went down to 13%. And so we're moving students by creating better schools. Now, having said that, we still have a really, really, really long ways to go. 63% of students are in schools that aren't making enough progress, and we're going to continue to keep our heads down and do the hard work, and we'll get into what some of that work looks like. Another sign of progress, our graduation rate, which I know the state board discusses regularly. So when I was first appointed, 49%, we're up to 64%. And so our dropout rate has also fallen. So the dropout rate has fallen by approximately 15%. So we're seeing kids stay on through all the way to high school, and we're pleased with that progress. And we're going to, in the coming days, maybe in a week or 2, as we solidify details, to share out last year's graduation rate. I believe the state will result. We'll share statewide results in January, but for us, the next few days, we're going to share out last year's results. And the headline is, we went up again for the 4th consecutive year. When you look at Park, so this is the first year, as everyone here is well aware, that we have year-over-year results. And on math, we increased in line with the state average at approximately 3 points. And on ELA, we slightly exceeded the state average by approximately 2 percentage points. And this is for our traditional public schools. As you all know, in Camden, we're unique as we partnered with nonprofit organizations to create hybrid district charter schools. We call them Renaissance schools through the Urban Hope Act. And we have 3 partners there. And just to give you a quick glimpse as to how they did. So this represents their results with the exact same students year over year. And Mastery is the first of the three. It's the largest of the three. And as you can see, across these 4 schools, by each of those grade levels, 7 out of 8 instances they saw significant gains. KIP more so. So KIP right now is in a handful of locations. Last year, their test results was just for 1, given the number of students they were serving. As you can see, they well exceeded state averages, and for ELA, they jumped by approximately 17 points. Uncommon, being the third of our 3 partners, saw really significant gains. This is called Camden Prep locally, and especially in ELA, you can see really significant improvement there. And again, these are with students that stayed, the exact same students year over year. All right, so in terms of some updates of the work underway, this will certainly not be news to those who are from Camden in the room today. We launched a new K-8 math curriculum this year, along with a new literacy block. And we did that after rounds and rounds and rounds of feedback from our teachers, our students, our school leaders certainly. We did a district-wide survey on top of just several rounds of discussions with our teacher roundtable, which is a group I meet with monthly. And so far we're pleased with the new curriculum. There's certainly some things to be ironed out, but we're pleased with the progress we're seeing. And our new literacy block is one that I'm sure in conversations you all had is being implemented in other parts of the state, but it's very simple in that we have guided reading with the classroom teacher, independent work being done, and then the third station, one-on-one support from a reading interventionist. So all 3 station students will hit in a 75-minute block, and it's the first time we've done anything like this in Camden, and we're pleased to see that it's been fully operational this year. We made some investments in new positions. So I mentioned the reading interventionist that provides individualized support for our youngest readers. And so this is focused on grades K to 3. And we hired 1 for every single school that serves grades K to 3. And for the larger schools, they would have multiple reading interventionists. And we felt this was so critical given where we are with our reading proficiency rates, and that individualized support for those students that are falling behind in the early grades will make a huge difference by the time they're in 3rd and 4th grade and caught up. We have new deans of culture and climate for our comprehensive high schools. So you all may remember in previous presentations, we've had a big push and policy change for restorative justice efforts. And so what that means is that we have a very different discipline structure where we don't reflexively suspend our students, and therefore we need more support inside of our schools for teachers and for students. And so the Dean of Culture and Climate is the individual in our 2 large comprehensive high schools that sets those expectations and provides that support. We have an in-school suspension policy now, so we're not, again, reflexively sending kids out of school. But even in-school suspension, there's a very high threshold, and we want to make sure that we're first leading with support and giving students the opportunity to restore themselves once they do face consequences as it relates to discipline. We have operations managers now, so the operations managers provide our principals with basically the blocking and tackling they need, so the principals can focus on instruction and focus on observing teachers and being there for a whole host of other matters inside of the building, and so they're not constantly thinking about managing clerks, custodians, facilities folks, and that's what an operations manager does. They just handle kind of all things on our end. And then lastly, family and operations coordinator. This is another new position, another new investment we've made in our traditional public schools. Before we had community school coordinators, this was a position that paid between the ranges of $16,000 and $22,000 a year, and we felt that was insufficient, so we created a new position that started with a salary of $40,000 a year. We provided more training and support for these individuals. Almost every single family and operations coordinator is from the city of Camden, went through the school system, knows the community inside and out, and has allowed us to build bridges with family and with the rest of the community. College and career readiness. So we have a new ACT/SAT administration policy, and that's what we're going to offer during the school day, and it's manageable. We're increasing we're aiming to increase our ACT, SAT participation rate, and we felt that by offering it during the school day, that'd be the greatest outcome for our kids. Now, we provided vouchers and support for students to take it outside school hours in the past, and we just didn't get our numbers where we wanted them to be, so now it's during the school day. And we're offering for all students, all high school students, ACT, SAT preparation. So we have partnerships built with local organizations to provide that support directly to our students. And then lastly, and this is one we're really proud of, this year we launched a dual enrollment early college access program with Camden County College. And it's 70 kids enrolled into this program, and they're on college campus, taking classes, gaining college credits right now as we speak. And that's one of our students, Joshua Sims. Trauma-informed care. So I know I've had a number of one-on-one conversations with some of you. I see Mark's has nodded. So oftentimes we use the word innovation in education, and I think most people, their head wanders to blended learning and technology. To me, this was innovation in education. And so what we're doing here with this pilot is for our 200 most chronically absent students that in some cases are missing more than 75 days over the course of the school year, we're going directly into their homes. We're doing this as part of a weekly home visit in partnership with a local nonprofit healthcare organization and a social work organization to provide holistic care that at its core is trauma-informed. And so the idea here is that many of these families are facing significant challenges that at the root is trauma and toxic stress related. And navigating the city and county Byzantine complicated system of social service provision is really requires additional support. And so we're there to provide that additional support, to just ask questions and see what we can do to support the family, and make sure ultimately, and most importantly, the student re-enrolls or enrolls more regularly into school. So we're really pleased with the support we've gotten from the community on this initiative, from our staff who are volunteering to do these home visits. We had a smaller pilot last year with just 13 students, and I worked with one family doing weekly visits, and I can tell you that I learned a lot just in terms of the outside of classroom factors that impact education. We talk about those issues a lot, and we recognize that they're real, but we don't often do enough. We certainly have not been doing enough to directly address them. And we feel we have that moral responsibility to actually address those outside classroom factors. It's really hard work, it's expensive, but we're really pleased with the progress we're seeing. So, just to close things out here, and I'm going to invite our mayor up in just a moment to talk to you all about Camden High School. So, Camden High School, for those of you that know Camden well, it is a landmark institution. It is, as everyone in the city calls it, the castle on the hill. It's a 100-year-old building, and it is one of two comprehensive high schools, and the other being its rival, Woodrow Wilson High School. And it is a school that, to say it means a lot to the community, would be a drastic understatement. And for a very, very long time, it has been neglected. While I didn't grow up in Camden, I first learned about Camden High School when I was 19 years old as a sophomore in college, and I read a book called Savage Inequalities. How many of y'all read Savage Inequalities? And so there's an entire chapter devoted to Camden High School. And basically the book is about inequities in urban and rural school districts. And it talked about, I think the book came out in the early 90s, 1992, and then Camden High School was in disrepair. And it wasn't until, so 25 years ago, Camden High School was in disrepair. And it wasn't until 2007 that there was finally an initiative to renovate Camden High School, and then that fell apart, and everyone's kind of pointing the finger every which way locally. And now finally, we are at a place where we are moving the football down the field, and we are incredibly grateful to the state, to the governor, to the School Development Authority, and Charlie McKenna, that they have approved a $133 million project to reconstruct. That says deconstruct, I should say deconstruct. Oh, deconstruct and then construct, sorry, Camden High School. And this is a huge, huge topic of conversation. When we first began
Come here
with,
when he wants.
back in 2007, the plan was to invest $107 million, and now we're talking about $133 million. And we're incredibly grateful for that. And it's a huge topic of conversation, just given the notion of the castle on the hill going down and a new building going up. It tugs on a lot of heartstrings. And so we're spending a lot of time out in the community. We've created committees to involve parents and community members to give input on the design. But we're just really pleased to be at this point, and I'd like to welcome up our mayor to talk to you a little bit about the work that's been underway. And before she comes up, I just want to say that if it weren't for her advocacy, if it weren't for her leadership of the city, we wouldn't have gotten to this point to have secured a $133 million commitment, which was formally voted and approved by the Schools Development Authority. So I'm going to welcome up our mayor, Dave Rick.